Thank you very, very much. I appreciate going a little early because I got to get back from the ices. I just left my last patient at 5:20, but we made it here in time, so we're going good. I think we should all go home, roll over, and die. We're whining and crying. You know, nothing's changing. I think we just quit. I was talking to my boy, driving here from, he lives up in New York City. His dream is to be an artist, work hard. He played hockey his whole life, golf his whole life, fantastic athlete. And I told him his whole life, just when things get tough, just quit. It's a no-brainer we raise our children that way. So I think we should take the advice we give all our children is to quit and play dead and call it a day. Don't y'all think it's okay?
No.
Yeah, of course not. Of course not. I have 7 children. My boy and I have 6 girls and a boy. My boy Pete's my best friend. I train him from the moment he came out of the womb to give it all you got. The outcome's irrelevant. What matters is the effort. Colossians 3:17 says, whatever you do, give all to the Lord. So the outcome is in his hands. So I trained him to succeed and try hard in the actual preparation. As my mom trained myself and my younger brother, I had no dad. She said, go to school, go to church, I'll kick your butt. And she meant it. Because life is going to kick and destroy us. But we have to know who the Creator is and understand what the big picture is. The problem is not Tillis or McConnell or Obama. It's a lack of guts on our part.
Amen.
We end up sacrificing on true principles for what? For a seat at the table? The election's long gone. I'm doing this 2-3 times a week. It has nothing to do with a campaign for me. I did this for 5 years before the campaign. I just felt I had to use my words of motivate people to run. If I didn't do it, then who am I trying to motivate? The question is, do we know who's sovereign, and do we know the legitimate role of government? If we do, we have to understand that government must be chained. The individual must be set free. So we have to sit around here and say, well, the Republican Party did this or did that. Yeah, they're progressives. They're no different than Democrats. Ms. Hagan and Mr. Tillis believe in Common Core. Ms. Hagan, Mr. Tillis both believe in Obamacare. He put state exchanges in the state house. It was the Senate that stopped them. They believe in amnesty. He voted for it this week. Him and Burr both did.
Yeah.
So this idea that an R and a D divides us into who is, protected by God and who is not is a joke. He's the Savior of all. We have to understand something. We have to understand the principles of what this country is about. And I've done this talk before, but it's so... You guys ever remember the Titans?
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking about when the defensive coach talking about, hey Henry, your offense is so boring, it's the veer. He goes, it's like Novocaine. You do it over and over and over again. The principles, the foundational principles, are what we're built upon. You play any sport, you play basketball, your free throw, the same motion all the time. You play golf, the foundation. You teach your kids at home, the ABCs, the grammar of a subject. So now we suddenly are supposed to be the rule of law. All we say is we're the republic, we're the great American experiment. But what happens in Raleigh and D.C. every day? It's the rule of men. The great Republican Revolution when McCory won. They spent $450 million more than Purdue did. $450 million of your dollars more than Purdue did. Common Core became law under McCory and Tillis, and Berger, and Stamp. They have a thing with Common Core now. They collect data. It's called PK20W. That collects over 400 data points on your children. Religion, income at home. 400 data points. And we say it's okay? Obamacare is a redistribution of wealth and the rationing of health care. Let's get rid of it. Oh no, now it's restructured. Now let's keep it. Now we get the Burr Plan. You read the Burr Plan? Well, I did. It's Obamacare with an R on it. In Article 1, Section 8, lists the 18 functions of the federal government.
Amen.
Period. Every single topic that we discussed during the campaign was men and women breaking their oath. We're supposed to defend the Constitution for what? Both foreign and domestic. We are now electing a dictator. This week, Congress Congress, this means McConnell and Boehner, have given a blank check for Obamacare and amnesty to this dictator. Now all we hear is, wait for Jeb Bush, then we'll fix it. So let's go, I'm going to repeat a bunch of stuff here, but I think it's so important. Now I'm going to be out of the closet. I'm a believer that God's in charge of everything. He picks every king, no matter who they are. He puts it all where it's supposed to be. And I believe it's important that I don't believe America, and that's going to sound crazy, is a Christian country. Okay? It's a secular government based upon Judeo-Christian beliefs. Two different ballgames. I wrote a paper on abortion that's going to go public in about a week or two. And in that I actually quote Frederick Douglass. He talks about if America is a Christian country. So he goes, let's compare America versus Christ. Loving, giving, merciful, the pure peacekeeper, slave owner. He shows the delineation of fact and not. But Judeo-Christian belief is our principles. Based upon that, God's natural law. The Declaration declares that you are made in His image, that He bestows you with certain inalienable rights. Among those are life. That means from the moment of conception to natural passing and everywhere in between. There is no such thing as quality of life. God does not make a mistake.
Amen.
The very next thing is liberty. That's a Latin word to mean to reach your potential. God-given potential, with all its failures and successes combined. And in the pursuit of your dreams, your happiness. That is your property. It's not greedy to want to own your property. And the most important property is yourself. And if you think it's okay for the government to tell you what medicines to take and what foods to eat, what did Jefferson say? You're in a worse state of tyranny than if you were ever free before. So you hear that, I don't care if you believe in vaccinations or not, but if you're told you must have a foreign protein injected in your body with formaldehyde, mercury, and aluminum, and you don't have an informed consent, the Fourth Amendment protects you. See, you have to understand the core principles of what owning your own body is. We cannot waver and say, oh, we believe in liberty and Constitution over here, but over here we don't. See, the big question is, do we believe in these two paths? You got to pick one. Liberty and freedom, or coercion and compulsion. I don't care if it's health care, I don't care if it's education, I don't care if it's restaurants, I don't care if it's regulation for tires. I don't care what the topic is. Do you believe in the free market, the idea of free human exchange, deciding how things work? Or do you believe in top-down, central command, control of every little aspect of your life? Which is it? We really are? We have this nationalized health care that I wrote a paper in 2010. But here's the answer for health care. First off is in Article 1, Section 8, where is health care?
It's not.
Thank you. So it's not a general function. So I said, as a little example was, there were about 7 insurance companies in North Carolina at the time. Now there's one. Blue Cross Blue Shield is a monopoly for all 100 counties that TILA supported to get in. And oh, by the way, the health insurance companies and Big Pharma wrote Obamacare.
Thank you.
Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3, the Commerce Clause. It says to make commerce regular. Regular meant in the 18th century to make regular, not to hinder. That means no taxes. So in my paper I said there are 267 health insurance companies in the United States. What if all of them competed for our dollar in North Carolina? That was my answer.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go over the structure again of the Declaration and the Constitution and what our role in this is. Because the only person to blame for the America dystopia is the man and woman in the mirror. You cannot blame Obama. He said exactly who he was from day one.
That's right.
And he was no different in the protocol for the man I voted for twice, George W. George W. gave us the largest infringement on health care ever until Obamacare, Medicare Part D. He gave us the largest infringement of education until Common Core, no child left behind. So we can't take that R&D stuff away. It's used the Constitution as our principle. So, the Declaration declares that we are created by our Creator. It says, we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. Among these are life and pursuit of happiness. Okay. Now the very next sentence says the legitimate role of a government is to secure these rights. Which rights? The individual's inalienable rights. A government into the next meant us, driving their just powers from consent to govern. So we, the sovereign, made in his image, acting on our liberty, are saying, let's have a little government so we can go to work. So we can enjoy, we can have markets, we can enjoy life. We'll do that. And then, but if a government at the local, state, any level, oversteps those bounds and infringes on your inalienable right, it is illegitimate. And Jefferson had the gall to call that tyranny. And then listed 27 things. Now picture that. Did we fight a revolution for one man in a robe to 9 men and women in a robe to dictate how your life is? So who cares that Judge Roberts called a forced compulsion from you to get your hard-earned money to give to Blue Cross as a tax? Here's a disgusting one, guys. All we hear is every 4 years you must vote for any Republican president to get rid of abortion. We hear that every year, right? Okay, Roe v. Wade was a 7-2 vote. Wizard White, a Democrat, said we shouldn't even hear this case, there's no standing. The vote was 7-2. Of the 7, you need 5 to make it pass, right? How many Republicans were there? In February 27th, 2013, the first day I announced to run for Senate, I did 8-city tour, and my last night in the 4th city was Greensboro, and there Mr. Bill Flynn, who ended up running for Senate, asked me a question. Who did I vote for president in 2012? And there I am running for U.S. Senate Republican Party, which I've been a member my whole life. I knew my answers and it caused turmoil. I said the truth. I wrote in Ron Paul. Why did you do that? We can't trust you. And here's my 2 answers. 2011, Romney was giving YouTube speeches that abortion was okay. 2011. In this room I said I never waver on abortion or the Constitution. Number 2, I said the same man who wrote Romney Care wrote Obamacare, Gruber. I'm waiting for my apology from Bill Flynn, from Tillis, from Harris, from Grant. They used that to attack me because I told the truth. And oh, by the way, it's not Article 1, Section 8, Clause, any of them. What we need now are heroes. In the story, heroes. It's time. Not the Henrys and the Masons and the Madisons and the men we name. How about the wives who have no idea are at home taking care of them? How about the men and women running up Bunker Hill, up Breeds Hill, that we don't know their names? The average soldier is about 18 years of age. 18 years of age. Hamilton was a general at 22. John Quincy Adams was ambassador to Russia at 14. They were homeschooled. Okay. So the Declaration. When Jefferson wrote the first draft, he actually wanted to get rid of slavery, but they lost that battle. I wish they stood up for that, and they didn't. Franklin actually put the word self-evident. Self-evident. Something made by God is self-evident. Self-evident. Very important to understand that. So, the Declaration does not declare anything new. It does not declare to England why we should be free. It declares to the world why men as individuals are free. The world has always been a collective society to squish the individual. Plato is the first Marxist. God came as an individual for individuals. Different than the collective. So the Declaration is nothing special, but it's unbelievably special because in a page and a half it declares to the world that you're free. So those same men, 11 years later, would actually give us a constitution that chained the individual or chained the government. And it was our second constitution. The first one was the Articles of Confederation, which had term limits, which had no Supreme Court. which had to be fought and fought and fought to get rid of. Virginia only lost 10 votes separated saying yes or no to them. And then when they said yes, they gave a caveat. In the second paragraph was, if this general government oversteps their bounds, we can secede. So did New York, so did Massachusetts. North Carolina said, no, we don't trust them. We stayed in our own country for another year and a half. So me being the stupid guy I am, think I'm running for a job that says the Constitution, I better read the Constitution, shouldn't I? Nobody else in this campaign did. So I went back and read every convention note of 1787. 3 men wrote notes every single day in Philadelphia. Yates, Martin, Madison. Buy the book. I got them at home. On August 16, 1787, they voted. Should the currency be backed by air, fiat, or gold? It was 9-2 gold. It's in the Constitution. They spent a month deciding who would declare war. They said it'll be an Augustine way, a Christian view. We'll never make war. We'll declare war once we're attacked. And we'll never fight in foreign wars. Oh, that was written by guys who were generals. You ever see that boat going across Delaware River? You know who's in that boat? That one boat? You know who's in that one boat? Knox, Washington, Monroe, Hamilton. 2 presidents were in that boat. We forget these kind of things. The historical context is everything. So I went back to read those notes again. Madison said, what we passed in Philadelphia is irrelevant. It's what the agents, the parties to the contract think this means. So the party to a contract is really simple. This was what Iredell used and what Hamilton used as an example. My wife, Jody, and I are parties to a contract. Our contract is, we'll call it our will. In this will, I have enumerated functions that if we die, my agent, my trustee, his name Frank, will have to do exactly what I say in this contract to each of my kids. If Frank does not do everything there, even if it's a better idea, Frank goes to jail. That's what Hamilton uses as an example. Why else would a sovereign country of North Carolina give anything away? Why? To make a more perfect union. If these 13 got together and they gave together this general government certain functions, there's only 2. Defense, we'll put our militias together if we ever get attacked, and a free trade zone. So there's no taxes amongst the new states. That's all the Constitution says in Article 1, Section 8. That's all it says. And even that, North Carolina voted, I think it was 177-74 no. They were afraid. A year and a half later, we said yes, with a lot of politics going on, and 2 things happened that they promised to do. Madison got the Bill of Rights passed, and the first president was George Washington. They trusted that. They feared the second president, which you're right, Adams made mistakes. So, knowing the structure of a contract is, I'm a pelvic surgeon. You would never trust me to operate on your wife if I didn't study. So all these diplomas I bought online mean something, right? So I figure we should know this stuff, but the people that we're voting to put in that position should not be the experts of that. The people that should be the experts of that are you and me, because we're hiring them. And you don't got to go to school to learn this stuff. Law school does not teach the Constitution. My daughter's in her last year of law school, I know that very well. They do not know it. Washington said the true keepers of the Constitution are we the people. So again, here's the individual, you're on top because God made you in His image. We're not animals, we're made in His image. We, at our liberty, have built a society. You can live by yourself, it's a nice little life, but God knows He wants to share. He made us to share. So it's better to have a society. That society got a little bigger, but it still functions to protect the individual. So that's on top. So the state is on top of the federal government. Because the state is the party, the federal government is the agent. That's important to know that position. And then the federal government has 3 other divisions under it. The legislative branch has 33 functions. And all law is made in that branch. It's the first sentence of the Constitution. The executive has 13 functions. He executes the laws that are passed, and he's supposed to be the bulk work, the blockade, if Congress passes a law that's not listed, to veto it. And the Supreme Court has 6 functions, and its only function is to give its opinion. It has no power to judicial review. None. 0. That's our government. And to secure that, the Bill of Rights is over here on the side. It's not a list of rights the government gave us. It's a list of God-given rights in which the federal government cannot infringe upon. They can't tell you what church to go to or not go to. They can't tell you what bulls to buy or not buy. They can't tell you people that aren't meant to live in your house without you asking. Or your body is yours. You're safe in your persons. The 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and the most important is the 9th, because Madison did not want a Bill of Rights. He said if we start giving a list of rights, people are going to run to that saying, well, that's all you got. When Jefferson convinced him, and Henry, Madison's arch rival, convinced him that we got to put this. The 9th says whatever is not listed, it's all given by God. You got them all. We can't even number them. Read the 9th, protects the individual. And then the 10th, which Jefferson called the cornerstone, which is interesting. That was the first, and Madison made it actually the 12th, then became the 10th. But so he did it. That says whatever's not listed is the state and or its people. Where's health care? Where's education? Where's interstate highways? March of 17, Madison's last day as president. Henry Clay for Kentucky wanted to build interstate highways and canals. He asked Madison, what do you think? Madison said, great idea, because they had a bonus bill. Believe it, the government had extra money by not taxing. Wait, no income tax for 140 years, they had a bonus bill. His last day as president, he vetoed it. And Henry Clay goes, why? Great idea, you need an amendment. You need an amendment. But it's hard to get an amendment. You need 3/4 of states, 2/3 of legislation. It takes work. Eisenhower got it through by executive order. I'm not saying it's a bad or good idea, but like we didn't have trade in the 1940s. We didn't have trade in the 1930s. We're not going to build roads. So the thing about it is, everybody thinks the general government, the federal government, is the answer to everything. It's just the opposite. You don't run to them for help. You run to him, and then you run to your neighbor, never to you. It's a different society. I know nothing against Tillis or her. They don't know this stuff. But they're banking that you don't either. They're banking that you don't either. What they do is they run for these 2 parties to do what? To divide the booty. They collect trillions and trillions of dollars. And we still got a deficit of 18 trillion and counting. Now, this is important to understand how much money we really are in debt. Depends who you read. Paul Craig Roberts, who is Assistant Secretary of Treasury under Ronald Reagan, thinks it's more like 220 trillion. When you look at derivatives, it might be 1.7 quadrillion of these notes they put our tax numbers on. But the minimum is $200 trillion of unfunded liabilities. Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security lead that. 220 trillion. All the money in the world is about 65 trillion. It can't be done. It's meant to collapse. That's leadership. That's leadership. So what do? This is the important part. I don't believe we should get in the minutia of fighting over health care. I was on the radio yesterday, some guy was talking, but Greg, isn't some of the things better? You know, I go, no, it's not listed in the things. Don't get argument over a common core. We will at state levels and things like that. But I don't want to get into the minutia of the policy. That's called Hegelianism. Hegel was an atheist philosopher from Germany, that he wanted to move society to a progressive society where all of us are just little cogs of the wheels. And he knew he couldn't get there over at the very beginning. So it's a thing they call the synthesis and antithesis, where they get these 2 opposites, a right and a left, and they know they'll move to the middle. A right and a left move to the middle. A right and left. He was the mentor of Karl Marx and those kind of guys. So the idea is, you would never say we need to have nationalized health care in 1787. It would never have happened. In 1840 was the first time that school became mandatory in the United States. When a guy named Horace Mann went to Prussia to watch their military country, he never went once into a school. He took the K through 12 model to make little plebes. But they know over time you keep going and moving like this kind of stuff. So we'll have answers for these policies. The answer is easy, it's free market, whatever it is. But you go back to the Constitution. I try to reflect everybody back to that. In our debates, I asked Tom, where in the Constitution? Where in the Constitution? Where in the, I was mocked at by that. But I want to know, where are these things? And here's the sad part. We have a power that's bigger than us that could actually force the federal government to do their stuff. That's the state legislature in Raleigh.
Right.
So why aren't they doing it?
Because they're no different.
They're no different. We don't have to get, there's no art, Boehner's not going to save the day. You know, if I won, I would not have saved the day. I'd have been a mouth like this or there. I may have been in a car accident by now. You know, but the thing about it is we just have to stand up with our backbone. I started with our kids. We raise our kids to stand up, to waver, to tell the truth. We have a lady who's going to maybe the next president who we know what she's been like. But at the same time, we can look at the McConnells, the Boehners, the same thing. See, when we use this stickler of the Constitution, it destroys it all. There are very few men up there and women up there to stand firm. In our state, we're very fortunate. Walter Jones. That's not it.
That's it.
We're very fortunate with Senator Lee, Senator Paul, Senator Cruz, they stand there. I may differ a little bit on Senator Cruz and some of his stuff, but overall he'll not waver. I wrote that paper I talked to you about in 2010, and I was asked, so what would you do, Greg, first thing? It was easy, defund it. Article 1, Section 7, Clause 1. So Renee Ellers, George Holding, why aren't they defunding it? Boehner, why aren't you defunding it? And then you have all these lawsuits against the president. We don't take them. Again, remember where the judge is over here. We're up here. You don't take this case to a judge to ask to sue the president. It's called impeachment. It's called impeachment. So I'm hoping that you guys all go home and just quit, or you fight. Because part of it is maybe we just go home and just hang out with our kids and do that stuff. But I think that's all we really want to do. I mean, I don't want to continue doing this. But I'm not going to stop doing this. Because we have to never, in the Ten Commandments, there's a Hebrew word, and it's do not lie. Right? The commandment do not lie. The Hebrew word actually means two things. It means do not tell a falsehood, and do not be silent when you know the truth. How many of us have been guilty of passivity? Give me liberty or give me death. And the tax burden was less than 1%. Give me liberty or give me death. And he said that in a church on March 23rd, 1775 in Virginia. You give me liberty or give me death. A man who had 19 kids. He said, give me liberty or give me death. And he was in a fight against the greatest empire the world has ever seen. The outcome was not known at that time. It took America another year and a few months to make that decision. Give me liberty or give me death. You read his writings, he says, I'm saved, I have nothing to fear on this earth. So what do we have to fear? Cave in a little. They're hoping that we'll beg for a little security and give up a little bit of our liberty. What did Franklin say? You deserve neither. Jefferson said, those who turn in their guns into plows will be plowing for those who did not. He also said, if an individual in a state of civilization expects to be ignorant and free, they expect what never was nor never will be. Our enemy is never going to quit. Ever. Ever. The American Republic will fall, to Tocqueville said, the moment Congress realized they could bribe people with the public's money. So we are not America anymore. I don't care what we think we want to be, American exceptionalism is dead. But it's not because of you and me that American exceptionalism is good or bad. Because I've been fortunate to travel in the world. All humans are exceptional in God's eye. But America's the only place to put on paper and said you're free. So our beliefs are exceptional. But Jefferson also said our Constitution is a blank piece of paper. Let's not he goes, it's a blank piece of paper. Let's not make it out with that construction. We have to give the strength as you and I hold the parties accountable to that contract. So the answer is easy, is do we have the willpower to do it? So this false paradigm being, you gotta vote for Tom or a Kay, that's all you get. No. I know the state's looking at the unaffiliated. I think I may be way to go. Why aren't the names of everybody in the candidate on the ballot? Why are we listed these so-called leaders? You join the Republican Party, which I'm still a member of, and you're a precinct person. You can't say who you want to vote for in the primary, but the elected officials can. You give your First Amendment rights away? These are important questions to ask. The D's are easy. They believe in top-down, centralized control. So that's easy. But the ones they believe in republicanism, the Constitution, the Declaration, and they wave it every election cycle, but then they go out for the next 2 or 4 or 6 years saying, well, we can't do it, hold on. I'd rather fight these people. They're simple. And if this Congress cannot stand against this president, who are they going to stand against? So that's my spiel, I'll stick to it. So I appreciate the time. I'll be happy to answer, I have no idea what time it is. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. And, but I'm hoping that we just don't, and don't take what I take truthful too, search it out. I've been called every liar, bad name in the whole world, and I love it. I don't care, my enemies make me stronger. We have to understand that they're going to use, everybody on the Republican side tries to use a Saul Alinsky, right, rules for radicals. I've been attacked by the Tillis DeRove campaign with Saul Alinsky. It was never the issue because they don't know this stuff. It was always something to make things up just to do it. So what we got to end up doing right now is I think these children are going to live in a less free America. And picture today how unfree we are. Do you think any family father would allow this phone to collect every single data you have as you speak?
Nope.
Everything we're saying right now is being collected by the NSA, stored in a 1.2 million square foot building in Utah. How does that not break the Fourth Amendment every second? So these are trying times. If they're going to fight it, or we're going to fight it.